Welcome to this edition of ABI's Quick Bit video series. My name is Lisa Fox. I'm with ABI, and I'm here with Helle with BrownWinick. And we're talking about non-qualified deferred comp plans and how they can be used as a retention tool for your best and brightest executives. And the last video, which is available on our website, talked about the advantages of using a non-qualified deferred comp plan. But today we're going to talk about some of the pitfalls and warnings that come along with implementing some of these plans. Alice, like everything, there's no free lunch. So we really have to be careful when we're building these non-qualified plans. Can you talk about some of the things that we need to be looking out for?
Yes, Lisa, thanks. And the biggest pitfall in this area is Section 409A of the Internal Revenue Code, which was added several years ago and is horribly complex. People could spend all day talking about that. I prefer not to do that. But
we would too.
The bottom line is that you can't allow discretion with regard to timing or form of distribution once the participant is in the plan. There are some very limited exceptions to that rule, but that is the general rule. So even though I talked in our last segment about the flexibility employees and their executives may have in designing these plans, when it comes to how they get paid out, that has to be determined up front. And there are only a few permissible distribution events. For example, you can distribute at death, disability, termination of employment, retirement, and by the way, you have to have definitions of retirement and disability that comply with the regulations if you're using those as events. You can also say, set a definite place and time. You could say January 1st of 2030, you're going to get paid out. But it has to be sure when they're going to get paid out, or at least the event has to be identifiable. And also the form of payment has to be determined in advance, whether it's lump sum installments. We've seen some cases where the plan allowed a choice between installments and lump sum. That's very common in a 401k plan, profit sharing plan. It doesn't work there. It violates 409A, and the consequences are that for the employee, the amounts are immediately taxable from the time there was a violation, which here would probably be right at the beginning. So you could be paying taxes retroactively way back with associated interest, and there's also a 20% penalty. So it's extremely important to watch those. And there isn't an associated penalty on the employer, but obviously the employers don't want their employees facing those types of
So there's a warning really on both ends of this. There's a warning to the employer to make sure they've got it set up right to benefit their employee effectively. But if you're an employee that's entering into a non-qualified deferred comp plan, they need to make sure all the ducks are in a row.
Right. They want to be talking to their own advisors to make sure that things look correct, because this is such a complex area. It's very difficult to inadvertently have a mistake. And I recall one illustration from the regulations. It's not permissible to say, I will get a distribution, or you will get a distribution when my oldest child begins college. That doesn't work. That's not a permissible event. But you can figure out when you think that person will be in college and set that as a definite date. Okay. So those are the types of subtle distinctions that need to be made in.
So probably the message of today is to make sure you've got the right advisors around you, because this isn't something that probably every financial advisor and every attorney in the state knows about. So yes, really pre-qualify your advisors to make sure they've got experience in non-qualified deferred comp plans.
That's right.
All right. Thank you very much. Always great information from Alice here at BrownWinick. And her contact information will be available at the end of this session. So if you'd like to contact her, I'm sure she'd be happy to help out. BrownWinick is part of ABI's Advisory Council, a group of fantastic professionals who gather monthly to identify issues facing business in Iowa and then develop solutions to solve them. So thank you so much for being with us today.
You're welcome, Lisa.